So today we are going to continue working in Sketchup, and we are going to do our actual drawing today. So let me go to the requirements here. We are going to design a treehouse, all right? And so in your treehouse, you are going to have one or more buildings, and it's going to be in a tree. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment here. You're going to have some way up and down. It should have 6 or more windows. That won't be too bad. You need an entertainment space outside of the building, all right? Could be part of the building, but we want to be outside, whether that's a patio, a fire pit, a pool, someplace where people can gather and play or entertain or be entertained, all right? Your name should be somewhere on the house, and we want you to use the 3D text to create that. And then we need a unique feature to your treehouse. You know, maybe you've got a half-court basketball up there or something. Something that's going to be unique to whatever you've got. Maybe you got a big old pool in a treehouse, okay? Are some of these things realistic? No. We're just having fun. We're doing a little fantasy treehouse. Nice design using the SketchUp app here. And then tons of detail, which you're going to do anyway because you can't help it. You always got to add all those details in there as you go. So I'm going to go to the apps, and I'm going to open up. So even if you can get to your Google Drive, all right, and you can see the teacher for the day, you can always go into those apps, I believe, and scroll down to SketchUp for Schools. All right, the logo looks like that when you're looking for the app, so you can see it up there as well. And then I've already got one created, but I'm going to walk you through a couple things here. So here's a couple of the things I've designed this week. But what we want to do is, since we don't want to go to one of the pictures that we've already worked with, you want to go to Create a New, all right? And when you click on Create New, right below that you've got template in feet and inches. So that's the one we want to work on. Don't do the meters or the millimeters. We're just going to keep it simple with the feet or inches. So you're going to do that. You'll click on that. You're going to get a whole new screen, and you'll get that guy. See if mine opens up here. Come on. You're going to get the green screen with the person so that we can learn about scale. Not opening here, so there we go. All right, so you can see I've started to design mine. I even got another tree inside of here. What we're going to do, I've got a couple things going on here. So I'm going to show you some different things, all right, that work with your tree and how to build your tree house, okay? Now, when we start, you're going to go over here on the right side, and we're going to click on Components, okay? I'm going to get rid of a couple things on here because it is slowing my computer down, and it is slowing down the app, and it told me it would do that. So I got rid of that bigger one. You'll see why here in a second. This is the one I was drawing on. So I have a nice tree, and you want to have it so that you can sit that building or buildings right in the middle, and we want some of those nice branches coming out of there, all right? And then you can see I've started to create some windows. I've got a little bit of a pool area, all right? You can zoom in on that pool area. Got a nice little pool area here. I've got some of those branches coming out. I'm working on a little walkway here, and I think I even started my name up at the top. All right. Let's see if I can get it to. All right. So, and then I've got my name. I'm working on 3D text for my name. So, let's get to how we do this. I'm going to build one right next to it, I believe. So, over in this toolbar, the third box down, or the third tab down, we've got what's called our components. It is 3 boxes, sorry, on top of each other there. And what that does is it opens up our 3D warehouse. So I recommend, and don't type in tree, you're gonna find a lot of trees in there. But some of them aren't three-dimensional, some of them are just kind of flat, and they just kind of rotate with you. What we want is we're gonna put 3D tree, all right? It is gonna list all kinds of things that people made, so you can see the people that it made. You can also see the file of how big it is, all right? Sometimes I don't check that out because I'm scrolling through and I wanna find some trees. Some of the stuff's not gonna work for you. Some of them are gonna be tiny, some of them are gonna be large. So if you saw when we first opened that I had a couple trees on there and one was severely large, and it told me when I clicked on it, and it might happen when I do this, that that tree is too big for the file, and it may, or I'm opening up a large file and that it is going to slow down SketchUp, and it did. So when you click on one, it will download it, all right? And you start to get these shapes on how people made them. And I usually download them and I will check them out. And this one is quite interesting with how they designed it. And I don't think I'm going to use that one. So you usually don't know until you put them on there how well they're going to look or work with you. So I'm just going to get rid of that one, and I'm going to search for another one. This one says there's 213 pages of trees. So I should be able to locate some type of tree, all right? We're going to insert that one. This one's not too bad. Zoom out a little bit. Pretty good size. When you start to see this dark, you can see the shapes on how somebody created this tree. And so it's not a big deal because you can see mine. Here's all the boxes that were made to make that tree. What they do is they start to design it using squares, and then they put pictures on the sides of the squares so that you can get that realistic tree feel. So I'm going to go with this one. You could select it, and if you hit the S on your keyboard, it should give you some boxes. And if it's not a size that you want, you can go from the corner and you can make it a different size. I wouldn't get too monstrous with it. You want to be able to work with it. But I'm going to click on that one. I'm going to rotate around real quick just to see what we're looking at here. I don't like that it keeps switching on me with the different shapes, but I think I'm going to live with it for right now. All right, and I'm going to go to my rectangle. This is where it gets interesting because we want this treehouse to be inside the tree. So really what I'll do is I'll just start to make some type of rectangle shape. All right, and when I rotate around this, I can see where it's at. And I really want those branches to be part of my tree. So if you can see here, I've got just a little bit of it showing. I'm going to click on that with my push-pull tab, and I'm going to try to bring that through the house. So you can see I'm starting, or through the tree. And I'm going to pull this way just a little bit here. So you can see those branches are starting to go through. This is the effect that I want to have, all right? And we're going to rotate around that, maybe. Come on. So my computer is going slow, and it could be the file that's on there. So if you're going to get something that's kind of choppy, and if you go for about 5-6 minutes and you realize, man, this is really slow process, then you may want to pick a different tree. So you can see that every time I kind of select over, it goes to the actual drawing of the tree. You could even see some of the dots that they used in here. And then once it stops, then you'll start to see that tree. So once I've got this how I want, I can start adding to it or taking away. I'm going to rotate. And sometimes you got to zoom in close just to see. So it takes a little bit of time, it looks like, to buffer, because as I rotate, it'll show me that section of the drawing. But I'm going going to go from here and see what I can create. So I'm just going to go with a rectangle here. I can start to indent things. This is where you kind of have to work with the tree. So if branches start coming through here, this might not be an area where you want to have some things going on. All right. I can use my pencil for this as well. So if I was drawing, maybe I'll click here. I can draw a line there. You want to make sure you're reading what's going on too, because it'll tell you if it's on the edge. But getting closer to your picture and definitely rotating around with the orbit button and zooming in is definitely going to be kind of helpful. So I'm just going to make some notches in this section. I can add buildings if I want to. Maybe there's another section up here. You know, the sky's the limit on what I want to create. I am going to give you a couple tips on some hotkeys here. I just kind of memorized a few that I use a lot. The rectangle one I use quite a bit, but instead of always going over to my toolbar, I've got about 4 that I use quite a bit. So the push-pull, you can see I'm on the rectangle now, but I'm just going to hit the P on my keyboard. That gives me my push-pull button, and I can use that. If I want to orbit, I hit O, and that changes to orbit real quick so that I can kind of rotate very fast. And the hand button is H, so they kind of go the first letter for all of these. It was easy to memorize. H for hand. I can slide this stuff over, let it catch up. Orbit O, angle it down, rotate around. Got some space here I can work with. And then R for rectangle, and I can use that rectangle space. So I use those 4 quite a bit, and then every once in a while I'll be clicking over there because it's just a habit. But I'm trying to make some different areas that I'm thinking in my head will work with this tree, and how well I can make that treehouse. So we want to make sure that we're going back and we're checking out some of our requirements in there. All right. But just like we just typed in for the tree for this warehouse, there are some objects in this warehouse that we can add to our treehouse. So I may want to have, what's a good one? Maybe I'll just put TV on there. So I could do a TV, all right? And so I'm going to put them over here for right now. So there's a TV that I just downloaded. It looks like this picture here. This one says there's 2,800 pages of televisions that people have created. Now the trick with some of this is to get it to turn. It will be the same trick for using the 3D text. So right now, I'm going to orbit. Right now, this is the way it's facing because that's the way it was designed. So you can see there's the back of it. Here's the front. But it might not always be going the direction that I want. So while it's blue, if I hit the S on my keyboard, I've got those squares. So then I can just make it the size I want. Maybe I want it a little smaller. Maybe I want a giant TV. All right. And I'm going to make it a lot bigger. And we are going to, move it down a little bit. So if I want to rotate it, I can hit Q on my keyboard, and that is going to give me these rotating discs. I believe those are also, let's see if I can find them. They should be down in here. You'll see there's kind of like a recycle symbol. There's a move button. We're going to use that move button quite a bit. I believe if I click on those as well, it will give me my discs. Now you'll notice there's 2 different colors here, and I'm going to try to get them to show up, but they're very touchy. So blue means that if I've got, let me find my example here. So let's say this is my TV, and I put blue on the top of it. That means it's kind of flat with the ground. That means I can rotate my TV so that it is going around and around like so. If it gets that yellow, that means it's going up and down at a different angle. That means my TV is going to rotate this way or this way. So all of those are useful. The blue is usually how we want to go because we're trying to, if it's facing one way, but we want to turn it around and put it on a different wall. So this is a good way to rotate it. And so it's a little bit of a learning curve because you're kind of clicking on it, and then you can see here, I can spin it around depending on the axis that it is on, but it is real touchy and it goes real fast. So if I spun this around, let's say, so that it was over there, that would be okay. I could pick it up. I'm going to try to go over, oh, and it's slowing up on me. I'm going to go over, back over into here, and I'm going to click on that move button. Whew. All right. And I got to locate that TV now. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to try to bring it over to my Treehouse. Now that thing is monstrous, okay? When I have it on here, let me orbit around. When I have it on here, I can work with it on there, but sometimes I will go away from the tree or whatever I'm working with. So this might be a big screen TV, outdoor theater space. And I'm going to see if I can rotate it. Now you can see when I've got that blue disc, when I start to move away, I was too far away last time, and that's why it spun around at a larger angle. I'm going to try to get this more center without it going up and down. And then I'm going to try to spin it. And then, like I said, it is very touchy. There we go. Hopefully that worked. It's good to click out or click on something else to get rid of that access so that that TV is not located or doesn't start spinning on you. All right. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I can orbit around. It's at a little bit of an angle, but not too bad. All right. I can probably go and alter it a little bit more from there. All right. So you saw how to put the boxes in. That's a great place to start. Don't spend forever looking for a tree, please. You will spend your whole life looking for a tree. Find something that's going to work. We can always make it bigger or smaller by clicking on it and then hitting the S button and then taking those corners and moving it around and going from there. And don't download a large file or you will get frustrated because it will stop all the time. It's going to do that and it's just going to be frustrating. So it's better off to get one that's going to load and then make it the size you want and then start creating, okay? And then go to that PDF file and make sure you're checking out the requirements and then email me if you got any questions. And we're going to work on this next week as well. So when you get going, you know, you can start adding your paints. Let me rotate that off. So I can click on the different paints that I want. There's different textures that I've used, all those kinds of things. I can start loading those things into my treehouse. Like you saw, I started putting the pool water in and things like that. So you can use all those things as well. And like I said, we're working on it next week. So take your time and design something nice and have a good weekend. We'll see you guys next week.